Welcome back to the Centered on Buffalo podcast. We're joined by a friend of the show and my good friend, my former quarterback, very intimate center quarterback relationship we've talked about before. We got Ryan Fitzpatrick back on the show. Legend of the game last week. We'll get to that. But when the last time you came on, I believe it was in the preseason, which might have been before the Miami game, we talked about a bet where you would shave your chest if the Bills won the Super Bowl. So you're now safe. You're safe.
Yeah, I am safe, but I'm so sad. I wanted to. I know the mood in Buffalo is not great today. I was talking to one of my buddies who you know well, Marcus,
Yep.
and he said it's just so quiet at work. Like it's just everybody is so somber and quiet today. And I think that if you look at if you start at the beginning of the season or even now, like if you're watching that game play out. For a Bills fan, if you told us with 3 minutes and 30 seconds left, the Bills are
Right.
going to be down 3 and Josh was going to have the ball, we all would take it, right? You'll
Yep.
take that every single time, 100 out of 100, and it just didn't work out. And there's a lot of reasons it didn't work out, but disappointing because you just never know when these opportunities, unless your name is Patrick Mahomes and you go to the Super Bowl 5 out of your first 7 years starting, you just don't know when these opportunities are going to come by again. So I love the raw emotion of Josh, after, but you just feel gutted, as a fan of his, as a fan of the Bills. But that was kind of how everybody was feeling. He was having a hard time getting out sentences,
I know it. And
Yeah.
I feel for him, and that's the way he plays. He puts everything into it, and when you put everything into it, it hurts when you lose, and it hurts when you come up short, and it hurts when the ball's in your hands and you get
Yeah.
stuffed on a 4th and 1 QB sneak attempt. That's debatable, but regardless, it was in his hands and had a fairly slow start to the game. Do you think he came out a little too amped up, made a couple bad
Dude,
decisions early?
he was he was definitely anxious. I love the first call of the game, though. I love that it was a little, QB power, 4, 5, 6 yards. Let him throw his left shoulder into somebody and just kind of get those
Yeah.
nerves out of there, right? But then the next 2 throws were kind of things we hadn't seen all year long, and he ends up, they're incomplete, gets away with them. But you could see, I mean, he felt he was just that was a huge moment for him and his career, and he knew it, and he wanted it, and he wanted it really bad. He
Yeah, but
missed.
what Yeah, but what's it say when he goes 9 for his next 10, and
Yeah.
then in the first half they get the lead and then bring it back to within 5 before the half?
Yeah, it's hard, because you could pick every single play and okay, well that was good and that wasn't, but I think 4th and 1 and 3rd and 1 and the way they were able to kind of stop the sneak and then the no adjustment to the sneak was a tough thing to watch the Bills do. I mean, there was the throw he missed to Curtis Samuel on the crossing route that he hits 100 out of 100,
Mm.
where you're just you want that one back. And as a quarterback, sometimes when that happens and you miss one that you should have hit, you try to put it in the back of your mind and not think of it again, but sometimes it just sits back there like, oh my God, I missed the last one. I can't miss this one. And you put so much pressure on yourself. I think the 4th and 5, and we can get into that. There were a couple issues with that play. Maybe just obviously the protection, you have to give credit to Spags, man.
Bring a corner blitz on 4th
Yeah.
and 5 with the game on the line.
I'll say this, like he loves the will free safety blitz. Absolutely loves it. When you bring the receiver split down, that free safety blitz turns into a corner blitz. The
Yep.
problem is with a quarterback or a center, when you're trying to make calls, that sure doesn't look like he's coming. That's now free safety is easier to see. A corner is impossible to see unless you
Yep.
have something that's picked up. So the tough part was the line was sliding left. His hot throw was to the left to Shakir, but there was so much pressure right away to the right. You wish that maybe it was the outside guy that put pressure on him, not the inside guy, but tough play call for the Bills to be in, and a great play call by Spags, dialing it up at the right time like he always seems to do.
I know. I mean, it's gutsy. You get booed out of your own stadium. If the Bills have some type of answer built in,
Yeah.
anticipating that, Spags may be looking for a job today. Andy Reid might say, like, that's enough. I can't have a defensive coordinator that blitzes corners in critical
Well,
situations, but th- it works.
it works. And I think all the Bills fans would agree that Spags should take a head coaching job somewhere. He
No
should
doubt.
just
In the
go
NFC.
go elsewhere. I don't even care if it's in the AFC. We just need to get him out of that spot as the D coordinator in Kansas City because he is so good at what he does and has those guys playing great.
For sure. Hey, talk about your boy Mac Hollins. And real quick, I ran into his wife and met her for the first time the night
She's
before the
awesome.
game.
Yeah.
She's an incredible person, Jenny. And I had talked about how you had told me about Mac before I had ever met him. And before Bills Ravens, I had my family in the facility. I had never like spoken to Mac one on one,
Yeah.
face to face. And so we talked for a minute. He made over my kids. He was so great. So I was telling Jenny about that. And then he goes out and crushes it. I
Yeah.
mean, what an incredible year for a guy that was brought in to play some special teams, maybe have a role in the offense, and really carved himself out a niche where he catches the most touchdown passes on the season, leads the Bills in receiving yards last night, but the blocking is unbelievable. The little things he does on the football field is incredible.
Well, and he still plays gunner on special teams, right? He's
Yes.
still running down there making hits. And so he's just one of those guys. He's a glue guy on your team. And, when you're on bad teams and you're not winning, those guys are kind of forgotten about. But all of a sudden, you put them on a team like the Bills where they play in prime time all the time. And you get a chance to see this guy that just keeps showing up on film in different ways. Like you said, blocking, gunner, making a tackle. The onside kick this year that he, jumps up very calmly and tips to himself and runs back. There's just he's a guy that helps the team win in so many different ways. And then the other thing with him, when the vibes are good, like he also lightens the mood a little bit, right? You like
Right.
those guys on your team where, he's always going to be a guy where the moment isn't too big for him, but he can bring some levity to a situation too. And so I love Mac. The first interaction I think I ever had with him, we brought him in when I was in Miami. He had come from Philly and just a special teams warrior, right? We didn't have him in any, I had never thrown him a pass in practice because he had just gotten there. Some of our guys go down during the game and he's in the huddle. And I'm like, hey, I'm Ryan. How are you? I'm Mac. Great. Hey, Mac, are you fast? Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm going to throw this as far as I can down the sideline for you. Okay. All right, good. So it was like 3rd and 12 or something. And so we did, and I threw it up and he got a pass interference call on it. And that was my first interaction with Mac Hollins.
He's crafty at getting penalties down the field as well. His overall production for the offense this year is dramatically higher. He drew the most PIs and defensive holdings of any receiver on the Bills, and that's with, I mean, maybe on par snap count, but I would argue there's guys that ran a lot more routes than Mac Hollins this year, and meaningful routes, like not a clear out, not a
Yeah.
run down the
Crafty.
field type deal. Yeah,
Crafty dude, man. And what I loved about Spag's plan too, and Andy Reid said this at halftime, was like, we're going to challenge these guys to make plays. Like they're not going to make it easy on you ever. And so the catch that Mac had in the end zone, I mean, an amazing throw by Josh, an amazing play by Mac, but like those are the plays it was going to take to beat these guys, right? And they made some of them, and then in the moments, where they really needed at the end of the game, they just weren't able to come up with those plays.
Yeah, it seemed like it was easier for the Chiefs throughout the night. And so each time the Bills have been eliminated in the playoffs under this McDermott era, especially in the Josh era, they've gotten torched in that game defensively at the end. Some of it's injuries, and we could say that. Last night, the secondary certainly got banged up. Is there anything philosophically, like from a quarterback's perspective, when you're looking at the Bills defense that you feel like, okay, season's on the line, it's a one and done elimination game, maybe this needs to be more aggressive or tweaked, or is it simply guys got to make plays?
I thought Babbitt did a good job all year. I think, for me, when Benford went down, that was huge, right? Because when you're playing against great coaches that can then recognize that, they went right after Elam, right? It was
Yep.
like every play, whatever it was, Patrick Mahomes in his mind and Andy, when he's calling plays, is they are attacking Elam on every play. And CBS picked up on that, and you kind of saw some of that. And then they had to change their philosophy a little bit and what they were doing on defense. The frustration for me when I watch the defense in this game in particular, when it's 3rd and 1 or 4th and 1, and you're playing Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes, it's like one of two plays. It's going to be the fullback dive where he's offset, or it's going to be Patrick Mahomes rolling to the right and free releasing a back or somebody in the flat. So he has the option to run it or to throw it. And it was like that last drive of the game where they did that, and he ended up stepping out of bounds, but it was like, we have to know that that's coming. We have
Yep.
to. Like, there's certain tendencies and things that happen that you have to know are coming. So how are we going to combat that? I think in general that the way the defense is set up, it's always been a great defense when you have the lead, in terms of being able to get after the passer, in terms of being able to sit back with eyes on the quarterback, and being able to create a lot of turnovers. I just think historically, we have to have it. We have to be dominant. We have to stop the other team on offense. It's never really been their mentality and style of play. And so that, I think, has shown up in the playoffs a couple times.
Yeah, yeah, it for sure has. Yeah, Benford going out, it's a trickle down effect,
Yeah.
because then it's not, now we're rolling coverage the other way towards a Rasul Douglas. Now it's okay. Now, how exactly are we helping these guys on the outside? Now we're going to blitz, be more aggressive. Now we're giving up some bigger plays. But no, I'm with you. And this isn't an indictment on the staff, because statistically every year they put the Bills in a great position to win a bunch of games, win the division. It's more of like, just in the crunch time, is there something different that needs to be done? And that's, I guess the easy thing would be to say you get like a TJ Watt or somebody,
Yeah,
that,
but
or a
but
Miles Garrett or somebody,
yeah,
a
but
true game record.
that being said, in this game too, though, like when they did get in the gotta have it situation, they ended up holding them to 3 points, right? I
Yep.
mean, they created some plays there, um, to put the Bills in position to win the game, to put the Bills in a position to have, with the offense, to have the ball in an advantageous situation to drive down. So, um, in fairness to the defense, they were able to do that on that last drive.
Yeah, and there was times where the special teams and the offense set them up in bad situations.
Yeah.
You fail on the 40, on the 4th and 1 attempt. You let up the big punt return. So yeah,
Yeah, and I
this
mean, the
isn't a fun
offense
game.
didn't play particularly well either, and that's the frustrating thing, I think, for all Bills fans, is we were far from perfect in that game, right? I mean, there was, if you're looking at position by position, who played better, I would say James Cook might be the only one. The running back position of the Bills outplayed the running back position of the Chiefs. And other than that, I don't know. I think they were outplayed in most aspects of the game. And so when you sit there and you're in it at the end, you just felt like we could steal one, and it just
Yeah.
didn't happen.
Let's take a moment to hear from one of our sponsors, and that's Dano's Seasoning. They've been giving you the gift of flavor all season long, getting you ready for your tailgates, your parties, and the big ones coming up. And you got to let Dano's help you impress all of your friends, your family coming over for the big game. So go and check them out on danosseasoning.com. You can also find them at a retail store near you. Me and Dan recently did some new collabs. They're both on our Instagrams, and you will enjoy these, and these will impress your buddies. Yum, yum, get you some. All right. Vibes were a lot better last week in Orchard Park
Yeah.
after the win. And you started us off in the stadium. It's been a long time coming. I am at the facility every week, and I'm around the team. So I'm around the Legends community and all that. And it's, hey, can you get Fitz in? Can you get Fitz in? Well, I didn't know who was going to be harder to get, Kyle or you. You go back to back weeks. I can't believe they got Kyle up out of Louisiana. And he actually, got on the mic and did
Yeah.
it. But took the shirt off. You brought it. How much fun was that?
It was fun. I was shocked when Kyle said yes as well, but I think Kyle understood how important it was. And that was the same thing for me. I just understood the assignment, like to be able to go there and to get everybody fired up. Obviously, I don't know that it was going to have much of an impact on the team, but it did have an impact with the fans. And it was a crazy experience. I said this last week on our podcast. I felt like a rock star. I don't think I'll ever feel like that again in my life. But in that moment, when the jacket came off, it was a really cool feeling. And for me to be able to share that, my dad was there on the sideline, and then
Yep.
my 3 boys, Brady, Tate, and 6-year-old Jake, was a really cool experience for me to be able to have with them. So, yeah, the whole game. The funniest part about that, though, is Baltimore took it down and scored right away. And
Right.
if you watch the video of me doing it, you can hear the whistle in the background. They're like getting ready to kick the ball off. So as I'm still like going off the field in the end zone, like juicing up the crowd, I I like see people's heads do this, and I look, and the ball has been kicked off, and I'm like,
Okay,
my God.
but to your defense, the first two plays of the game, both runs by Derrick Henry, both stuffed. They did convert that 3rd and 7, so
Dang
you
it.
got the
Yeah.
run defense right. Just
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
when I led the charge last year, and I'm assuming I was just like a late fill-in. Someone canceled, and I'm already there. So, hey, can you hop down to the field? Because they've always said, like, hey, we'd love you to do it, but you have game day duties and it doesn't work well with this. So I did it for the Steelers game. I'm on my way up to the booth. Not a huge deal. Chris Brown calls, the kickoff return, which was fumbled, muffed. They get the ball at the 2-yard line. Josh throws a 98-yard touchdown to Gabe Davis as I'm walking back into the broadcast booth. And luckily, I caught the tail end of it, and I just started making stuff up on the fly. Obviously, the play action works when everybody thinks you're going to run the football in this situation. Came down, he caught, Minka Fitzpatrick, coming down here. But it was funny.
That's
That was
awesome.
like, it was best case scenario for the team, worst case scenario for me, that it was a 2 to 3 play scoring drive in that situation. But all right, last thing for me, we're going to get you out of here. All right, so you've talked on your podcast about how you've gotten into rucking and you're going to work on
Yes.
this health journey. All right, I got to know, are you adding a nutrition
No.
aspect to this? So you're just working out. You're
Yeah.
just going to get
Never.
jacked.
I don't like. Yeah. I don't think the rucking is going to get me jacked, but it does make me feel like when I can never just go out and walk. It just seems pointless. So to put the backpack on and put a 45-pound plate on your back, like you feel like you're putting some extra effort in, and it actually is a workout. And I like feel strong when I'm doing it. So that's why I love rucking, but I don't think I'm ever going to change the way I eat. I enjoy food. I enjoy what comes with food, the fellowship, the hanging out with the family. And so, yeah, at least at this point, no, but ask me next year, or after a few doctor's visits, and maybe they'll make me change my whole lifestyle, but I enjoy it too much. So I'm hoping that by incorporating some of this rucking and a little more working out, that I'll be able to maintain that wonderful nutrition level that I have.
Yeah, and yeah, you can maintain where you're at right now and be perfectly
Yeah,
fine.
I mean, I think
In my
you
opinion.
like my bod. I mean,
Yeah.
I saw you.
You're not
Yeah.
you're not fat by any means. I'll let you know if you start getting fat.
Okay. Yeah, I think right now I'm healthy, not
Yeah,
husky, but I'm getting close. I'm getting close to husky, but I would say I'm healthy right now.
yeah, yeah, that's fair. That's
Yeah.
fair. All right, Fitz, thank you for coming on the podcast. Always a blast catching up as usual. Everyone out there, go check out his Fitz and Wit podcast. They do an awesome job. They got great chemistry. Obviously, were you guys teammates at any point?
We were teammates in '07, '08 with the Bengals, but I will say, like, there was so Wit back then to Wit, like LA Wit now. That was Louisiana, backwoods Louisiana, Cincinnati Wit. And now
Yeah,
he's LA, California, beautiful man, manicured beard Wit. Very different guy from back then.
yeah, that makes sense. But you guys have great chemistry. You do a great job. Everyone, go check that out. Thank you for tuning in. Subscribe to the podcast, like it, review it. We appreciate it.